Welcome to Adobe Chat's B2B Marketing Demystified Asia Edition. I'm your host, Joe Escobedo, and very excited today on the show we have Liz Fent, who is the Global Chief Marketing Officer at Tuivsud. Liz, thanks so much for being on the show.
Hi, Joe. Thank you very much for inviting me along. Tuivsud is a very complex company. We have over 1,200 services, and some of those are very commoditized services. So it's really a marketing strategy one-to-many. We started looking at, who would be first suitable for account-based marketing. And that really required a lot of research into understanding the customer, the share of wallet, and whether literally it's worth investing the amount of time and money we would need to do in marketing into account-based marketing for one-to-few, or in some cases one-to-one. What are the customer stakeholders? So who are the contacts within each of those accounts? What are the customer needs? What are their pain points? What are the opportunities? And deriving and working back from that, then started working into what will be the potentially good account-based marketing strategies for the customers. And I would say location really matters, the style of area of business in which they work, and also the geography in which they operate. So for example, in places like Vietnam, Thailand, China, face-to-face really matters. So if you're looking at account-based marketing, we need to set up things whereby the customer feels that he or she is being spoken to in a dialogue face-to-face. And then we have another sort of set of, let's say, cultures and groups of customers where it's definitely more online. The relationship piece happens face-to-face. The business part happens online. The building the relationship, cementing a relationship, that happens at the German Oktoberfest that we invite our key clients to, or meeting face-to-face for a meal. And in that particular environment, yes, we talk some business, but their focus there is building trust and focusing on the relationship and sustaining that relationship over time. So I think in that respect, that we have a relationship component, which is primarily offline, and an online component, which is really more transactional and business. One of our key guys in the medical device industry has produced a collection of webinar series specifically for key accounts. So there aren't, let's say, 200 people in the webinar, but there are perhaps maybe 10 to 12. So he thinks that it won't ever replace real, true face-to-face interaction, but that you can do quite a significant amount of really good marketing and sales work online. And he's doing, as I said, this sort of roundtable closed door set of webinar series where he updates his key clients on new developments in the medical device technology industry. So for example, we have one expert and he will sort of seed information that is sort of almost a first mover information, seed that and target it to our key accounts and make it very personalized. So he will, let's say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, did you know XYZ? And then thereby engage in a dialogue with that person is one effectively piece of content that we're able to then tweak about 20 or 30 times. And after that, we change the content slightly and then push out to a larger audience. So it's really about repurposing content, but developing content that is engaging, very personal, and also ahead of the curve in terms of, did you know? Really sort of saying you are in a set of people who are going to get to know this information before everybody else. First piece of advice would be plan. Don't launch into it and say, right, we need X, Y, Z, and be pressurized into just getting the first piece and getting it done quickly. Have a look at basically where do you want to get to in 5 to 7 years from now. And based on that plan and that goal, I would advise definitely to find a partner, a consultancy, somebody who's really independent in giving you advice around what that MarTech stack could look like and what other companies who've done it before you have implemented and why. You need to find pieces of software for your MarTech stack that work globally. Select wisely, and when you discuss with a vendor, truly understand if that vendor has global outreach. It doesn't need to be in every country, but at least in your main locations. privacy. Believe me, the reality is if that tool needs to operate in a different way in a particular jurisdiction because of, for example, GDPR compliance topics, you need to know that. You definitely need to have advisory from the vendor around privacy regulations, first and foremost. And the next part I would say is, does the vendor have the option to provide onboarding on the tool? So we have teams ranging in size from 10 to 30 in each respective region. And as I mentioned earlier, they have a day job, right? So this tech stack piece is coming on top. And we need to really ensure that we make their lives easy. And if the vendor already has, training, but not just training, but individualized, personalized service that they could then offer, for example, for the first 3 months of using that tool, that is extremely valuable. One piece of advice when you're going through the planning piece, when you're looking at your MarTech stack and then you're selecting the tools within that stack, they have to work interoperably. It's no good saying I'm going to buy the best in class of every single type of tool if they don't interoperate. Believe me, you're going to be better served if you look from the start at whether these tools already have connectors and they interoperate easily and they fit together.